Marcus Chen wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag as he finished repairing the atmospheric processor in Bay 7. The mining station orbiting Kepler 442b was always breaking down, and as the only human engineer aboard the multicultural facility, he found himself fixing everything from alien breathing apparatus to exotic matter containment units. The other species seemed to have a knack for advanced technology, but somehow lacked the human instinct for creative problem-solving when things went wrong. The comm system crackled to life with the harsh, guttural voice of Commander Thax, a Kryptonian whose species looked like walking tanks covered in natural armor plating. "All personnel report to Central Bay immediately. We have an incoming emergency shuttle." Marcus sighed and grabbed his toolkit. Emergency shuttles usually meant more broken equipment to fix. He made his way through the winding corridors of the station, passing various alien crew members. There were the insectoid Zephyrians with their multiple arms and compound eyes, the gaseous nebulites contained in their environmental suits, and the reptilian saurians who always seemed to be arguing about something in their hissing language. When Marcus arrived at the Central Bay, he found most of the crew already gathered around the massive airlock doors. Through the reinforced viewing windows, he could see a small, badly damaged shuttle approaching. Its hull was scorched and peppered with what looked like weapon impacts. "What's the situation?" Marcus asked Zira, a Zephyrian communications officer whose 4 arms were constantly working various control panels. "Unknown vessel," she chittered in heavily accented Standard Galactic. "Emergency beacon activated 3 hours ago, barely holding together." Commander Thax's heavy footsteps echoed across the bay as he approached the viewing window. The massive Kryptonian stood nearly 8 feet tall, his natural armor gleaming under the station's lights. "Vessel is not responding to our hails, automated systems only." Marcus watched as the shuttle's docking clamps engaged with a grinding sound that suggested the mechanism was barely functional. Emergency lights bathed the bay in red as the atmosphere equalized between the 2 vessels. Everyone stepped back as the airlock doors slowly opened with a hiss of escaping gas. What emerged from the damaged shuttle was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. The figure was humanoid but clearly alien. Standing about 6 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an internal light. Her features were delicate and angular, with large silver eyes that held an otherworldly beauty. What appeared to be crystalline formations grew from her shoulders and arms like natural armor, though many were cracked and damaged. She wore what had once been elegant robes, now torn and stained with a luminescent blue substance that Marcus realized must be her blood. She took 2 unsteady steps into the bay before collapsing to her knees, her breathing labored. "By the 7 moons," whispered Dr. Yalris, the station's Saurian medical officer. "That's a Celestian. I thought they were extinct." Commander Thax immediately stepped forward, but his posture was tense, aggressive. "Celestians are enemies of the Galactic Coalition. This one is probably a spy or saboteur." "She's injured," Marcus said, moving toward the collapsed figure. "Whatever she is, she needs medical attention." "Stay back, human," Thax commanded. "Celestians are known for their deception and manipulation. They destroyed 3 coalition worlds during the Crystal Wars." Marcus ignored the order and knelt beside the injured alien. Her silver eyes focused on him with surprising clarity, despite her obvious pain. When she spoke, her voice was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Please," she whispered in accented Standard Galactic. "They are coming, my people. All dead. I am Lyrelai, last of the Etherian royal line." "You're a princess?" Marcus asked, offering her his shoulder to lean on as he helped her sit up. "The princess," she corrected weakly. "Last heir to the Celestian throne. My world burned. The Void Hunters found us despite our hiding." Commander Thax's armor plates rattled as he shifted uncomfortably. "Void Hunters are mercenaries. If they're after her, she must have done something to deserve it." Or someone hired them to wipe out the Celestians, Marcus countered, gently examining Lyra Lay's injuries. The crystalline formations on her arms were clearly organic, and several were cracked or missing entirely, leaking that luminescent blue substance. "Dr. Yalris, can you help her?" The reptilian doctor hissed uncertainty. "I know little of Celestian physiology. Their biology is unlike any other known species. Those crystal formations appear to be neural clusters. If they're damaged—" "I will survive," Lorelei said, struggling to stand, "but they will track me here. The Void Hunters have never failed to complete a contract. You must evacuate this station." "We're not going anywhere," Thax declared. "This station is under Coalition protection. No mercenary group would dare attack us." Lorelai's silver eyes widened with what Marcus recognized as fear. "You do not understand. The contract was placed by someone within your coalition. Someone with the authority to hire the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. My people discovered something terrible, something that threatens the very foundation of the Galactic Coalition itself." "What kind of something?" Marcus asked, helping her lean against a nearby cargo container. Before she could answer, the station's warning sirens began blaring. Zira's 4 arms flew over her communication console as incoming data streams lit up her screens. "Commander," she chittered urgently, "long-range sensors detect multiple ships approaching. Configuration matches known Void Hunter vessels." "How many?" Thax demanded. 17 ships, including what appears to be their flagship, the Nightmare's Edge." Even Commander Thax's armored exterior couldn't hide his shock. 17 ships? For one Celestian? "I told you," Lyra Lay whispered. "Someone wants me very dead, and they want whatever knowledge I carry to die with me." Marcus looked around at the assembled crew. There were perhaps 30 individuals on the station, mostly scientists, engineers, and a handful of security personnel. Against 17 Void Hunter ships, they wouldn't stand a chance. "We need to get her out of here," Marcus said. "There has to be an escape pod or something." "There are emergency shuttles," Dr. Yalris offered. "But they would never outrun Void Hunter interceptors." "Then we make a stand," Thax declared, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. "This station has defensive capabilities." "Against mining pirates and asteroid debris," Marcus pointed out, "not against military-grade hunters." Lorelei struggled to her feet, her crystalline formations glowing brighter as she seemed to access some internal reserve of strength. "There is another way. My ship. Before it was destroyed, I managed to upload critical data to a secure quantum storage device. If that information reaches the Coalition Senate, it would expose the conspiracy that led to my people's genocide." "Where is this device?" Marcus asked. She reached into the folds of her damaged robes and withdrew what looked like a crystal no larger than Marcus's thumb. It pulsed with the same internal light as her skin. "Here. But the Void Hunters have quantum scanners. As long as I carry it, they will be able to track me anywhere in this system." "So we separate you from the crystal," Marcus said simply. "No!" Lyra Lay's response was immediate and fierce. "The device is quantum encrypted to my specific neural pattern. If I die or if I'm separated from it for more than a few hours, the data self-destructs. It was designed that way to prevent exactly what the hunters are trying to do." The station shuddered as something impacted the outer hull. Through the viewing windows, Marcus could see the sleek, predatory shapes of Void Hunter ships moving into attack positions around the mining facility. "Attention, mining station!" A cold, mechanical voice echoed through the communication system. "We are the Void Hunters. Surrender the Celestian known as Lorelei, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will take our time." Commander Thax activated the station's external communications. "This is a Coalition-protected facility. You have no authority here." Harsh laughter crackled through the speakers. "We have all the authority we need, Kryptonian. Our employer has provided us with Coalition military clearance codes. Check your databases." Zira's compound eyes widened as she processed the incoming data. Commander, the codes are legitimate. They're operating under classified coalition military orders. Impossible, Thax rumbled, but Marcus could see the doubt in his posture. Now you begin to understand, Lyrelai said weakly. The corruption goes to the very top of your coalition. My people discovered that several high-ranking officials have been secretly collaborating with an extragalactic invasion force. The Celestians were the only ones who knew the truth. Extragalactic? Dr. Yalrus hissed in alarm. You mean from outside our galaxy entirely? They call themselves the Devourers, Lyrelai explained. They consume entire galaxies, stripping them of all life and resources before moving on to the next. The corrupt coalition officials believe they can broker some kind of deal, that they'll be spared in exchange for helping prepare our galaxy for invasion. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. And your people found out about this? We were always good at seeing through deception. Our crystalline neural clusters allowed us to detect quantum fluctuations in subspace communication. We discovered the hidden transmissions between the Devourers and their coalition collaborators. Another impact shook the station, stronger this time. Through the windows, Marcus could see the Void Hunter ships moving into position for a full assault. We have 30 seconds to decide, the mechanical voice announced. Surrender the Celestian, or we begin systematic destruction of your facility. I will not allow this station and its crew to be destroyed because of me, Lyrelai said, struggling to walk toward the airlock. I will surrender myself. Marcus stepped in front of her, blocking her path. Like hell you will. Human, you do not understand the situation, Commander Thax said. We cannot protect her against 17 ships. Maybe not, Marcus admitted, but we can sure as hell try. You want to know what makes humans different from every other species in this galaxy? We don't know when to quit. This is not your fight, Lyrelai protested. Marcus looked into her silver eyes and saw something he recognized, the look of someone who had lost everything but was still willing to keep fighting. Actually, it is. You said these Devourers want to consume our entire galaxy. That makes every living thing in it my responsibility to protect. He turned to address the assembled crew. Look, I know most of you think humans are crazy, you're probably right, but right now, crazy might be exactly what we need. Dr. Yalrus stepped forward first. The human speaks wisdom. If what the princess says is true, then we are all already dead if these Devourers succeed. One by one, other crew members moved to stand with Marcus and Lyrelai. Even some of the traditionally cautious species seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. Commander Thax was the last to make his decision. The massive Cretonian looked at his diverse crew, then at the injured princess, and finally at Marcus. Very well, human. You wish to protect the princess? Then we make them come and take her. All defensive systems online. Prepare for combat. The station's weapon systems, designed primarily for asteroid clearing, powered up with a deep thrumming sound. It wasn't much against military-grade hunters, but it was something. Time's up, the Void Hunter voice announced. You have chosen death. The first barrage of enemy fire lit up the station's shields like a deadly light show. Marcus grabbed Lyrelai's arm to steady her as the facility shook under the assault. You still have time to reconsider, she said. Why risk everything for someone you just met? Marcus checked the readout on a nearby console, watching as their shield strength slowly decreased under the relentless attack. Because that's what humans do. We protect those who can't protect themselves, even if the odds are impossible. Your species is either very noble or very stupid. Probably both, Marcus admitted with a grin. But right now, you need both noble and stupid on your side. Outside, the Void Hunter ships continued their methodical assault. The station's defenses were holding for now, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. Marcus looked around at the alien faces surrounding them, some afraid, others determined, all united in a cause that seemed hopeless. But Marcus had spent his whole life solving impossible problems. And this was just another engineering challenge, albeit one with significantly higher stakes than usual. "Zira," he called to the Zephyrian communications officer. "Can you get me a detailed scan of their ship configurations?" "Yes. But why?" "Because every ship has a weakness. We just need to find it." As the station shuddered under another barrage, Marcus began formulating a plan that was probably insane even by human standards. But insane plans had a way of working when everything else failed. And right now, failure wasn't an option. Marcus studied the tactical display that Zira had pulled up on the main screen. The 17 Void Hunter ships moved with military precision around the mining station, their formation designed to prevent any escape while maximizing their firepower advantage. Most species would see this as an impossible situation, but humans had a talent for finding opportunity in the middle of disaster. "Their flagship is maintaining position directly above us," Marcus observed, pointing at the largest vessel on the display. "The Nightmare's Edge, that's where their command structure is. And also where their heaviest weapons are located," Commander Thax pointed out as another volley of plasma fire rocked the station. "Our shields are down to 60%. Lyrelai moved closer to the display, her crystalline formations glowing brighter as she concentrated. "I can sense something strange about their flagship. The quantum signatures are wrong somehow." "What do you mean wrong?" Dr. Yalris asked, while treating another crew member who had been thrown against a bulkhead during the last impact. "Celestian neural clusters are sensitive to quantum fluctuations," she explained. "That ship is not entirely what it appears to be. There are sections that exist in a state of quantum uncertainty, as if parts of it are phasing in and out of our reality." Marcus felt his pulse quicken. Quantum uncertainty means unstable molecular cohesion. If we could find a way to disrupt that stability, the entire ship could collapse into subspace, Zira finished, her compound eyes gleaming with understanding. "But how do we generate that kind of quantum disruption with mining equipment?" That was the question Marcus had been hoping someone would ask. He turned to address the assembled crew, his mind already racing through the technical possibilities. "This mining station was designed to extract exotic matter from the planet below, right? The same exotic matter that's used in faster-than-light drive cores?" "Yes," confirmed Engineer Kortak, a Saurian whose specialty was exotic matter containment. "We have approximately 40 tons of processed exotic matter in our storage bays. And exotic matter becomes highly unstable when exposed to specific quantum frequencies," Marcus continued. "Frequencies that our asteroid clearing lasers can generate if we modify their harmonic resonance." Commander Thax's armor plates rattled as he shifted uncomfortably. "You're suggesting we turn our entire mining operation into a weapon?" "I'm suggesting we turn our entire mining operation into a really big bomb," Marcus corrected. "But a very precisely targeted one." "That's insane," Dr. Yalris hissed. "If the exotic matter containment fails, it could create a subspace rift large enough to swallow the entire system." "Only if we screw up the calculations," Marcus said with more confidence than he actually felt. "But if we do it right, we can create a localized quantum cascade that will destabilize their flagship while leaving us relatively unharmed." Lyrelai looked at him with those remarkable silver eyes. "Relatively unharmed? Well, we might get thrown around a bit, and there's always the small chance of total annihilation, but those are acceptable risks considering the alternative." Another barrage from the Void Hunter ships sent sparks flying from overloaded systems. Their shields were now down to 40% and dropping steadily. "How long do we have?" Marcus asked. "At their current rate of fire, shield failure in 18 minutes, Zira reported. "After that, they can breach our hull at will. Then we better work fast. Kortak, I need you to begin preparing the exotic matter for controlled release. Zira, Start calculating quantum harmonic frequencies for our asteroid lasers. Dr. Yalris, prepare sickbay for massive trauma casualties because this is going to be a rough ride. What about me? Lyra Lay asked. Marcus hesitated. The plan he was formulating would require precise timing and a deep understanding of quantum mechanics that few species possessed. But Celestians, with their crystalline neural clusters, might be uniquely qualified to help. Your people understand quantum mechanics better than anyone else, right? It is part of our fundamental nature, she confirmed. Our crystal formations allow us to perceive and manipulate quantum fields in ways other species cannot. Good. I'm going to need you to help me fine-tune the quantum resonance frequencies. 1 degree off and we either do nothing or create a black hole. No pressure at all, she said, and Marcus was surprised to detect what might have been humor in her voice. The next 15 minutes were controlled chaos. Marcus found himself working more closely with Lyra Lay than he had ever worked with anyone, human or alien. Her ability to perceive quantum fields directly complemented his engineering intuition in ways that surprised both of them. The resonance frequency needs to be exactly 432.7 terahertz, she said, her crystal formations glowing as she extended her consciousness into the quantum realm. Any deviation will cause the cascade to collapse before reaching their ship. Got it, Marcus replied, his hands flying over the laser control systems. Cortac, how's the exotic matter preparation coming? Containment fields are ready for controlled failure, the Saurian engineer reported. But I must warn you, once we begin this process, there's no stopping it. The exotic matter will either reach critical quantum instability and detonate, or it will stabilize, and we'll have wasted our only chance. Understood. Zira, what's our shield status? 12% and falling. We have perhaps 3 minutes before total failure. Marcus looked around at the diverse crew that had somehow come together in humanity's darkest hour. A few days ago, most of them barely tolerated his presence as the station's only human. Now they were trusting him with their lives based on a plan that violated several fundamental laws of physics. This is either going to be the most brilliant tactical maneuver in galactic history or the stupidest, Marcus announced. Either way, it's been an honor working with all of you. Commander Thax activated the station's communication system. All hands, brace for quantum cascade detonation. This is not a drill. Initiating exotic matter release in 3, 2, 1. Cortac's clawed finger pressed the control that would seal all their fates. Throughout the mining station, 40 tons of exotic matter began its transition from stable containment to quantum uncertainty. Marcus felt the hair on his arm stand up as reality itself seemed to vibrate around them. Quantum field fluctuations are increasing exponentially, Lyra Lay reported, her crystal formations now blazing with internal light. The cascade is building, but we need to direct it toward their flagship before it reaches critical mass. Targeting systems are locked onto the Nightmare's edge, Zira confirmed. Asteroid-clearing lasers are charged and ready. Fire! Marcus commanded. The modified laser array discharged simultaneously, sending coherent beams of energy toward the Void Hunter flagship. But these weren't ordinary lasers anymore. Marcus had reconfigured them to generate the precise quantum frequencies that would interact with their released exotic matter. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The Void Hunter ships continued their systematic bombardment of the mining station's failing shields. Then reality began to bend. The space around the Nightmare's edge started to ripple like water. The massive flagship, which had seemed so solid and threatening moments before, began to phase in and out of existence as its quantum-stabilized sections lost coherence. "It's working!" Dr. Yalris shouted over the growing quantum storm that was making every piece of electronic equipment on the station fluctuate wildly. But Marcus could see something the others couldn't. The quantum cascade was spreading faster than his calculations had predicted. The exotic matter wasn't just destabilizing the Void Hunter flagship, it was beginning to affect the other ships in their formation as well. Lyrelei, can you contain the cascade? Keep it focused on the flagship? Her silver eyes were wide with concentration and strain. I can try, but it's like trying to hold back an ocean with my bare hands. The crystal formations along her arms were glowing so brightly now that Marcus had to squint to look at her directly. He could see that the effort was causing her physical pain. Some of her damaged crystals were cracking further, leaking more of that luminescent blue substance. "Don't push yourself too hard," he warned. "I must," she replied through gritted teeth. "If the cascade spreads to all their ships simultaneously, the quantum feedback could tear open a permanent rift in subspace. Everything within a light year would be pulled into the quantum void." Marcus grabbed onto a nearby support beam as the station shook violently. Outside, the Nightmare's edge was beginning to collapse in on itself, its hull folding through dimensions that human eyes weren't meant to perceive. But the other Void Hunter ships were starting to show signs of quantum instability as well. "Can't hold it," Lyrelei gasped, and Marcus saw her legs buckle. Without thinking, he reached out and grasped her hands, feeling an immediate shock as his nervous system made contact with her crystalline formations. Suddenly, he could perceive the quantum field as she did, a vast, writhing network of probability and potential that existed behind the facade of normal reality. "How are you doing this?" she asked in amazement. "Humans don't have quantum sensitivity?" "Maybe not naturally," Marcus replied, fighting to maintain his mental balance as waves of quantum information flooded his consciousness. "But we're really good at adapting." Together they focused their combined will on containing the cascade. Marcus provided the engineering precision while Lyrelei supplied the quantum intuition. It was like trying to perform surgery on the fabric of space itself. The Nightmare's edge gave a final reality-bending convulsion and imploded into a point of absolute darkness before winking out of existence entirely. The remaining Void Hunter ships found themselves caught in the edges of the quantum storm, their own systems beginning to fail as exotic matter residue interfered with their electronics. "Their formation is breaking up," Zira reported. "Multiple ships are reporting system failures." "Good," Marcus said, though he was beginning to feel the strain of maintaining the quantum link with Lyrelei. "Now let's see how they like being on the receiving end." The remaining Void Hunter ships tried to retreat, but the quantum storm had disrupted their faster-than-light capabilities. They were trapped in normal space with the mining station, and their weapons were no longer functioning reliably. "This is Captain Vex of the Hunter Pack," a different voice crackled through the communication system. We demand to negotiate terms of withdrawal." Commander Thax activated the station's external speakers. "The terms are simple. Surrender unconditionally, or face the same fate as your flagship." There was a long pause. "Our contract specified the elimination of the Celestian Princess. If we return without completing the mission." "Then I suggest you find new employment," Marcus interrupted, his voice carrying clearly through the quantum link he maintained with Lyrelei. "Because your current employers are about to become extinct." "What do you mean?" Lyrelei spoke, her voice somehow amplified by the quantum field surrounding the station. "I carry information that will expose the Devourer conspiracy within the Galactic Coalition. Your employers' plan to sacrifice our galaxy for their own survival will be revealed to every world, every species, every sentient being in the Coalition. The Devourers will not accept failure. Then they'll learn what humans learned long ago," Marcus said. "Sometimes failure is the beginning of wisdom." The quantum cascade finally began to subside as the exotic matter reached a new state of stability. Marcus and Lyrelei maintained their connection until the last ripples of distorted space-time smoothed out around them. When they finally released each other's hands, both were exhausted but victorious. Quantum fields are returning to normal, Lyreley reported, though her voice was weak. The cascade has been contained. Around them, the mining station crew began to cheer. 16 Void Hunter ships hung dead in space, their crews trapped aboard vessels that could no longer function in the quantum-altered region around the mining station. Zira, can you establish communication with the Coalition Military Command? Marcus asked. Yes, the quantum interference is clearing. I can reach Sector Command. Good. It's time to deliver that information about the Devourer conspiracy. And I think our Void Hunter friends are going to be very helpful witnesses. Dr. Yalrus approached Lyreley with medical supplies. Princess, you need treatment for your injuries. The quantum link with the human has accelerated your healing, but you've lost a dangerous amount of neural fluid. I will survive, she assured him. My people were always resilient. Marcus looked out at the disabled Void Hunter ships and felt a mixture of satisfaction and concern. They had won this battle, but the war against the Devourers and their coalition collaborators was just beginning. What happens now? He asked Lyreley. She smiled, and for the first time since she had stumbled off that damaged shuttle, she looked hopeful. Now we prove that the galaxy has more fight in it than our enemies expected, and we show them what happens when humans decide to protect someone. Think the Coalition will believe us about the conspiracy? They will when they see the evidence, and when the Void Hunters confirm our story to save themselves from Devourer retaliation. Marcus nodded. The next few days were going to be interesting, to say the least. But for now, they had time to rest, to plan, and to prepare for whatever came next. Outside, the stars continued their eternal dance, unaware that a small mining station and its diverse crew had just changed the fate of the entire galaxy. 3 weeks after the quantum cascade that destroyed the Nightmare's Edge, Marcus found himself standing in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Coalition Senate on the capital world of Centaurus Prime. The chamber was vast enough to hold representatives from over 3,000 different species, each group arranged in sections designed to accommodate their unique environmental needs. Beside him stood Lyreley, her injuries now healed, and her crystalline formations restored to their full luminous beauty. The quantum link they had shared during the battle had created a permanent bond between them. Not romantic, but something deeper than friendship. They could sense each other's thoughts and emotions across any distance, a connection that had proven invaluable during the political chaos of the past 3 weeks. Are you ready for this? Marcus asked quietly as they waited to be called before the Senate. As ready as one can be to accuse the highest levels of galactic government of treason, she replied, her silver eyes scanning the assembled delegates. Though I admit, having a human ally makes the prospect less daunting. Behind them sat Captain Vex and 3 other Void Hunter officers, now wearing restraint collars and looking considerably less intimidating than they had 3 weeks ago. Their testimony had been crucial in corroborating Lyreley's claims about the Devourer conspiracy, though Marcus suspected their cooperation had more to do with saving their own lives than any sense of justice. Commander Thax, Dr. Yalrus, Engineer Kortak, and Communications Officer Zira occupied seats in the witness section. The diverse crew of the mining station had become something of a galactic sensation after news of their impossible victories spread through Coalition space. Humans, previously seen as a minor species of talented but reckless engineers, were suddenly being viewed in an entirely new light. The Senate recognizes Princess Lyreley of the Celestian Houses and her human advocate Marcus Chen, announced the speaker, a majestic creature that looked like a cross between a tree and a crystal formation. You may present your evidence to the Assembly. Lyreley stepped forward, her crystalline formations pulsing with stored data. Honored delegates, 3 weeks ago my people died for the crime of discovering the truth. Today I share that truth with you all. She activated the quantum storage device that had nearly cost so many lives to protect. Holographic displays throughout the massive chamber lit up with intercepted communications, financial records, and shipping manifests that painted a picture of corruption that ran to the very core of the coalition government. "The Devourers are not a distant threat," Lyreley continued, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. "They are already here, in the form of advanced scouts who have been operating within our galaxy for decades. More importantly, they have found willing collaborators among our own leaders." The evidence was overwhelming. Secret communications between coalition officials and Devourer representatives, financial transfers of enormous sums to private accounts. Most damning of all, shipping records showing the movement of critical infrastructure components to systems beyond coalition space. Components that could only be used to construct massive harvesting machines designed to strip entire worlds of their resources. "This is preposterous," declared Senator Valax, a high-ranking Cretonian official whose natural armor was adorned with medals and honors. "The Celestians were enemies of the Coalition. This so-called evidence is clearly fabricated." "Then perhaps you can explain this," Marcus said, stepping forward with a confidence that surprised even him. 3 weeks of preparing for this moment had transformed the quiet engineer into something resembling a diplomat, though his approach was distinctly human in its directness. He activated his own holographic display, showing financial records that the captured Void Hunters had provided. "These are payment authorizations for the Celestian genocide, signed with Senator Valax's personal encryption codes and funded through accounts that trace back to Devourer shell corporations." The chamber erupted in chaos as delegates from hundreds of species began arguing simultaneously. Senator Valax's armor plates were rattling with what Marcus now recognized as extreme agitation. "Those records are classified," Valax protested. "How did you obtain them?" "Funny thing about humans," Marcus replied with a slight smile. "We're really good at getting information that people don't want us to have, especially when that information threatens every living thing in our galaxy." The speaker called for order, though it took several minutes for the chamber to quiet down. "Senator Valax, do you deny the authenticity of these records?" The records may be authentic, but their interpretation is incorrect. Those payments were part of a legitimate coalition intelligence operation to what?" Lyreley interrupted, her crystal formations flaring with intensity. "To help an extragalactic invasion force prepare our worlds for consumption, to ensure that when the Devourers arrive in force, they encounter no organized resistance." "You don't understand the bigger picture," Valax said desperately. "The Devourers are unstoppable. They've consumed dozens of galaxies across cosmic history. The only way to preserve any life in this galaxy is to cooperate with them, to show them that some species are worth keeping as servants, rather than simply destroying everything." "And you decided to make that choice for all of us?" Marcus asked. "Without consulting the trillions of beings who might have preferred to fight, rather than submit to slavery." "Fight with what?" Valax demanded. "We have individual planetary defenses, some system patrol fleets. The Devourers command resources that span entire galactic clusters. Resistance is suicide." "Maybe," Marcus admitted, "but humans have a saying. It's better to die on your feet than live on your knees. And we've got some experience with impossible odds." Dr. Yalris rose from the witness section. "If I may address the chamber, I have conducted extensive analysis of the Devourer technology samples recovered from the destroyed Void Hunter vessels. Their technology is advanced, but not insurmountable. They rely heavily on quantum manipulation, much like what we witnessed during the mining station battle." "What are you suggesting?" asked Senator Threek, a gaseous being whose translation device gave his words a hollow, echoing quality. "I'm suggesting that humans may have found a weakness in Devourer technology," Dr. Yalris continued. "The quantum cascade that destroyed the Nightmare's Edge was precisely the kind of attack that could disrupt their quantum-stabilized systems on a large scale." Murmurs of interest and hope began to spread through the chamber. Marcus could see the political calculation happening in real time as delegates realized that resistance might actually be possible. Even if that's true, Senator Valax argued, the mining station victory was a fluke. One human engineer and an alien princess working together under unique circumstances. It can't be replicated on a galactic scale. Actually, it can, Marcus said, and this time his confidence was completely genuine. The quantum link between Lyrelai and me isn't unique to us. It's a property of human neural plasticity interacting with Celestian quantum sensitivity. With proper training, we could create teams of human-Celestian pairs capable of generating quantum cascades anywhere in the galaxy. But there's only one Celestian left, pointed out Senator Klieg, whose insectoid appearance reminded Marcus of Zira. Not quite, Lyrelai said, her silver eyes brightening with something that might have been hope. Before my world died, my people transmitted our complete genetic and neural patterns to hidden archives throughout Coalition space. The data exists to rebuild our species, if we can find worlds and resources to do so. And humans would help with this? Asked the speaker. Marcus looked around the chamber at thousands of alien faces representing species he had never even heard of 3 weeks ago. A month ago, he had been a simple engineer fixing atmospheric processors and exotic matter containment units. Now he was proposing a galaxy-spanning alliance to resist an invasion from beyond the stars. That's what humans do, he said simply. We help. We protect those who can't protect themselves. We fight impossible odds because someone has to. And when the universe tells us something can't be done, we usually take that as a personal challenge. The human speaks truth, declared Commander Thax, rising from his seat with a clatter of armor plates. I have witnessed human determination firsthand. They do not surrender, even when surrender would be logical. One by one, other witnesses began to speak. Engineer Kortak testified about human ingenuity in repurposing mining equipment into quantum weapons. Zira described human adaptability in forming functional alliances with diverse species. Even Captain Vex, speaking from behind his restraint collar, admitted that humans were unlike any species the Void Hunters had previously encountered. They don't think like other races, he said grudgingly. Most species calculate odds and act rationally. Humans calculate odds and then decide to change the odds. The debate continued for hours. But Marcus could sense the mood of the chamber shifting. The revelation of the Devourer conspiracy had shaken the Coalition's confidence in its leadership, but the possibility of human Celestian quantum warfare teams offered a path forward that didn't involve surrender or slavery. Finally, the speaker called for formal votes on 3 crucial resolutions: the arrest and trial of Senator Valax and his co-conspirators, the allocation of resources for Celestian genetic restoration, and the establishment of a new military command structure with humans playing a central role in galactic defense. All 3 resolutions passed by overwhelming margins. As the session concluded and delegates began filing out of the chamber, Lyrelai touched Marcus's arm with one crystalline formation. You realize what you've committed humanity to? She asked. Leading a galactic war against enemies who have destroyed countless civilizations? I realize what I've committed humanity to, Marcus corrected. And that's exactly what we do best. Fight for the underdog, protect the innocent, and prove that impossible is just another word for hasn't been tried by humans yet. And if we lose, Marcus shrugged, then we lose fighting. But we don't lose by giving up before the fight even starts. 6 months later, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the UCS, United Coalition Ship Defiance, watching as the first graduating class of human Celestian quantum warfare teams conducted training exercises in the space around New Etheria, the restored Celestian homeworld. Below, on the planet's surface, the first new generation of Celestians was taking their first breaths. grown from genetic templates and raised in artificial wombs powered by exotic matter and human engineering. They would be the first of their species to grow up knowing humans as allies rather than strangers. The reconnaissance probes have detected the advance elements of the main Devourer fleet, Lyreley reported as she joined him at the observation window. Her new crystal formations, grown from the quantum-enriched environment of New Etheria, were more brilliant than ever before. They'll reach the outer systems in approximately 8 months. Good, Marcus said, surprising her with his lack of concern. That gives us just enough time to finish the preparations. Over the past 6 months, human engineers had worked with scientists from dozens of species to develop new applications of quantum cascade technology. Entire fleets of ships now carried human Celestian teams and exotic matter weapons. More importantly, they had discovered ways to create quantum disruption fields that could protect Coalition worlds from Devourer harvesting machines. "Are you nervous about commanding the defense fleet?" Lyreley asked. Marcus considered the question seriously. 3 weeks ago, he had been a mining station engineer. 6 months ago, he had accepted a commission as Admiral of the Coalition Defense Forces, despite having no formal military training. Every other species would have required decades of preparation for such a role. Humans, apparently, were willing to learn on the job. "Terrified," he admitted, but that's never stopped humans before. Through their quantum link, he could feel Lyreley's amusement and affection. Their bond had evolved into something unprecedented in galactic history, a permanent connection between species that allowed for coordination and cooperation that neither could achieve alone. "The Devourers will not expect this level of resistance," she said confidently. "They've grown accustomed to galaxies that surrender after the first demonstration of their power." "Then they're about to learn something important about humans," Marcus replied, watching as a quantum cascade training exercise lit up the space around New Etheria like artificial aurora. "We don't know how to surrender. We only know how to find new ways to win." The war for the galaxy would begin in 8 months. It would be fought across thousands of star systems with weapons that had never existed before and tactics that defied conventional military wisdom. The outcome was far from certain, but for the first time since the Devourer conspiracy had been exposed, the galaxy had something it hadn't possessed in cosmic ages: hope. And that hope wore a human face and spoke with a human voice that refused to accept defeat as inevitable. In the darkness between stars, the Devourer fleet continued its inexorable approach. But they were coming to a galaxy that was no longer defenseless, and they would face a species that had never learned the meaning of the word impossible. The wounded Xeno princess had found her ally, and that ally had brought the entire human race with him.